We start with the Bhagavad Gita. This is translation by Shri Purohit Swamy. As a prologue, the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest devotional book of Hinduism, has long been recognized as one of the world's spiritual classics and a guide to all on the path of truth. It is sometimes known as the Song of the Lord or the Gospel of Lord Shri Krishna. According to Western scholarship, it was composed later than the Vedas and the Upanishads, probably between the 5th and 2nd centuries before Christ. It is a fragment, part of the 6th book of the epic poem, the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata tells of the Pandavas, Prince Arjuna and his 4 brothers, growing up in North India at the court of their uncle, the blind King Dhritarashtra, after the death of their father, the previous ruler. There is always great rivalry between the Pandavas or sons of Pandu and the Kauravas, the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. Eventually, the old king gives his nephews some land of their own, but his eldest son, Duryodhana, defeats Yudhishthir, the eldest Pandav, by cheating at dice and forces him and his brothers to surrender their land and go into exile for 13 years. On their return, the old king is unable to persuade his son Duryodhana to restore their heritage, and in spite of efforts at reconciliation by Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra's charioteer, by Bhishma, his wise counselor, and even by the Lord Krishna himself, war cannot be averted. The rival hosts face each other on the field of Kurukshetra. It is at this point that the Bhagavad Gita begins. When Prince Arjuna surveys the battlefield, he is overwhelmed with sorrow at the futility of war. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita are spoken by the divine Lord Krishna, who is acting as the prince's charioteer. They are overheard by Sanjaya and reported back to King Dhritarashtra. When Krishna has finished speaking to Arjuna, the 2 armies engage. The battle lasts 18 days, and by the end of it, nearly all of the warriors on both sides are dead, save Krishna and the 5 sons of Pandu. The prologue ends here. We now start with chapter 1, the Despondency of Arjuna. The King Dhritarashtra asked, O Sanjaya, what happened on the sacred battlefield of Kurukshetra when my people gathered against the Pandavas? Sanjaya replied, the Prince Duryodhana, when he saw the army of the Pandavas paraded, approached his preceptor Guru Drona and spoke as follows. Revered father, behold this mighty host of the Pandavas paraded by the son of King Drupada, thy wise disciple. In it are heroes and great bowmen, the equals in battle of Arjuna and Bhima, Yuyudhana, Virata and Drupada, great soldiers all. Drishtaketu, Chakitan, the valiant king of Banaras, Purohit, Kunti Bhoja, Shaibya, a master over many, Yudhamanyu, Uttamaja, Saubhadra, and the sons of Draupadi, famous men. Further, take note of all those captains who have ranged themselves on our side, O best of spiritual guides, the leaders of my army. I will name them for you. You come first, then Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, great soldiers, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta, and many others, all ready to die for my sake, all armed, all skilled in war. Yet our army seems the weaker, though commanded by Bhishma. Their army seems the stronger, though commanded by Bhima. Therefore, in the rank and file, let's stand firm in their posts according to battalions, and all you generals about Bhishma. Sanjaya continues, then, to enliven his spirits, the brave grandfather Bhishma, eldest of the Kuru clan, blew his conch till it sounded like a lion's roar, and immediately all the conches and drums, the trumpets and horns, blared forth in tumultuous uproar. Then, seated in their spacious war chariot, yoked with white horses, Lord Shri Krishna and Arjuna sounded their divine shells. Lord Shri Krishna blew his Panchajanya and Arjuna his Devadatta, brave Bhima his renowned shell Poundra. The king Dharmaraja, the son of Kunti, blew the Ananta Vijaya, Nakalu and Sahadev, the Sughosh and Mani Pushpaka respectively, and the Maharaja of Banaras, the great archer Shikhandi, the great soldier Drishtayumna, Virata and Satyaki the invincible, and O King Drupada, the sons of Draupadi and Saubhadra, the great soldier, blew their conches. The tumult rent the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra and violently shook heaven and earth with its echo. Then, beholding the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn upon the battlefield ready to fight, Arjuna, whose flag bore the Hanuman, raising his bow, spoke this to the Lord Shri Krishna. O infallible Lord of the earth, please draw up my chariot betwixt the two armies, so that I may observe those who must fight on my side, those who must fight against me, and gaze over this array of soldiers, eager to please the sinful sons of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, having listened to the request of Arjuna, Lord Shri Krishna drew up his bright chariot exactly in the midst between the two armies. Whither Bhishma and Drona had led all the rulers of the earth and spoke thus, O Arjuna, behold these members of the family of Kuru assembled. There Arjuna noticed fathers, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, sons, grandsons, teachers, friends, fathers-in-law and benefactors arrayed on both sides. Arjuna then gazed at all those kinsmen before him, and his heart melted with pity, and sadly he spoke, O my Lord, when I see all these, my own people, thirsting for battle, my limbs fail me, and my throat is parched. My body trembles and my hair stands on end. The bow Gandiva slips from my hand and my skin burns. I cannot keep quiet, for my mind is in tumult. The omens are adverse. What good can come from the slaughter of my people on this battlefield? Ah, my Lord, I crave not for victory, nor for kingdom, nor for any pleasure. What were a kingdom or happiness or life to me, when those for whose sake I desire these things stand here about to sacrifice their property and their lives? Teachers, fathers, grandfathers, sons and grandsons, uncles, fathers-in-law, brothers-in-law, and other relatives. I would not kill them, even for 3 worlds. Why then for this poor earth? It matters not if I myself am killed. My Lord, what happens? What happiness can come from the death of these sons of Dhritarashtra? We shall sin if we kill these desperate men. We are worthy of a nobler feat than to slaughter our relatives, the sons of Dhritarashtra. For my Lord, how can we be happy if we kill our kinsmen? Although these men, blinded by greed, see no guilt in destroying their kin or fighting against their friends, should we not, whose eyes are open, who consider it to be wrong to annihilate our house, turn away from so great a crime? The destruction of our kindred means the destruction of the traditions of our ancient lineage, and when these are lost, irreligion will overrun our homes. When irreligion spreads, the women of the house begin to stray. When they lose their purity, adulteration of the stock follows. Promiscuity ruins both the family and those who defile it, while the souls of our ancestors droop through lack of the funeral cakes and ablutions. By the destruction of our lineage and the pollution of blood, ancient class traditions and family purity alike perish. The wise say, my lord, that they are forever lost, whose ancient traditions are lost. Alas, it is strange that we should be willing to kill our own countrymen and commit a great sin in order to enjoy the pleasures of a kingdom. If, on the contrary, the sons of Dhritarashtra, with weapons in their hand, should slay me, unarmed and unresisting, surely that would be better for my welfare. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus in the midst of the armies, Arjuna sank on the seat of the chariot, casting away his bow and arrow, heartbroken with grief. Thus, in the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita, one of the Upanishads, in the science of the Supreme Spirit, in the art of self-knowledge, in the colloquy between the Divine Lord Shri Krishna and the Prince Arjuna, stands the first chapter entitled The Despondency of Arjuna. And here we end with chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, translation by Sri Purohit Swamy.